This stuff in Yerushalmi Shekalim in the article edition we're on Lamed Amal for really up the third line, right? Bar Coin. But in order to understand what's going on, we'll start from the last line of Chavtes on Beis, Rabbi Chia Bar Boy, and that in the Vilna is on Daf Yud on Beis. Actually, I should say it's in the Vilna Yerushalmi somewhere on actually the first line of Yeches Amrav. And in the Vilna Bavli Yerushalmi, it's on Yud Alvam Beis, the sixth line down. So Rabbi Chia Bar Boy asked, they didn't. There was no money owed, on which the Michal the Ketores. So what do they do? So what do they do with the money of proceeds of the Ketores? So Aser Chia Bar Boy Shem Rabbi Yechon said Mekaitzim Mizbech. Do this for Keitzim Mizbech. Right, Bar Coin come by Rabbi Yossi. Right, Bar Coin asked Rabbi Yossi. Mechavish does Rabbi Chia Bar. This Rabbi Chia Bar seems to contradict himself because this statement which he said is Rabbi Chia, although the Girsa and the Gemara itself and the art scroll is in the Vilna as well is not explicit. It's Rabbi Chia Bar, but they changed the Girsa here. Who changed the Girsa? A bunch of people changed the Girsa. Moshe, Rasirilio, the article itself. So, it's the way the article is that Rabbi Chia Bar Ba said B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, Mekaitzim Misabim Mizbech. But the Chavish does say Chia Bar Ba because with the statement we started. He asked the question, right? Talmud Tzrichale. He asked the question, what do we do with the money from the Moisar Ketores? And here, it seems to be quite straightforward. He says, use it for Kaitzim Zbech. What do we do with discrepancy? So Talmud Tzrichale, sorry, it's Gary's question, asked question here, it was clear to him. So the Gemara says that which is mesupik is whether you can use it to buy klisharis. He doesn't know that, but he knows for sure that pshita bekaitzim mizbech. So kaitzim mizbech is that it's obvious you can use some extra funds. So that's the question whether you can use extra funds for klisharis, and that Hitaka doesn't know the answer to that. And the Pnei Moshe explains that can we use the Kli Shoris with this money? Mosar K'toris. Shum the Achshav ain't Shem Mosar K'toris Alim. Now it's longer called Mosar K'toris. Shekvan Yischal B'Tchila. It's right in Mechulo. And Sheyichil HaK'toris Alim Chazul Hektish. But by being Mechalel this K'toris on this money, right? Then now it came back to become Hektish again. And it's possible it's like other Moser Chuma. It's possible to say it can become Klisharis. But that's Pasha to him that he can use it for Kemet Zbech. Because Moser Chuma can sure be used for Kemet Zbech. Whether it can be used for Klisharis, that's a separate question, which he asked and did not know the answer to. Okay, and the Kavin Khan has a different shot, but we're going to name Moshe's shot. Now, the art school here learns that the next sugya is a continuation. The Spalgun is an explanation of this discussion. But Reb Chaim says something fascinating, and it's worth noting it and perhaps going with it, that Reb Chaim says, the Spalgun lavata elkai. It's not going. It says previously, the kama duchte mitzini b'Yerushalmi is find seven Yerushalmi kailishnak shebol l'shanos plukta. They find this balgun, and it doesn't mean that they argued, but we're about to learn an argument. Okay, fascinating. So I think we're going to learn like that. These balgun, there's a machlekas. Pidma b'chulin. What if you pidma ktores in a kli chulin? Not a kodesh clean, a chulin kli. Rabbi Yosef China Mar Psula. You made the Ktoris in a chulin kli, it's puzzle. You have Yeshua ben Levi Amar Ksher. Yeshua ben Levi says it's kosher. My time, Rabbi Yosef Chanina. What's the logic of Rabbi Yosef Chanina? Kodeshi. So there's the logic of the pasuk is I'm not sure the same pasuk Torah brings down brings down. Yeah. So it's not quite the lashon of the pasuk. Torah Shalom brings down the pasuk. The court made, I think, changed the girsa here. Kodesh Elochem. Yeah. So the lashon of the pasuk is that. Shas men hodek with the men of Nei Dus Ba'Moed Asher Yevei Lecha Shama Kodesh Kodeshim Tiyeh Lachem. Shemos Lamed Vav. Can't tell. So it's going to be hard for me to read that letter. But Lamed Vav Lamed Zayin. So in any event, so the getting to the age where I might need a magnifying glass for these things. Okay, so he learns that as that to be dervish that shetei haviyasa b'kodesh. That's its havaya, its creation has to take place by kodesh. Matam Rabbi Shimon Levi. So what that's the case? What does Rabbi Shimon Levi hold? It says Pidmon b'kli is kosher. Pidmon is kosher. What is his logic? So he learns Kodeshi Shetei Ba Mitrumas Alishka. That it has to be paid for from Trumas Alishka. Right, that's the people. So that is not the Kodeshi is not going on the making the Kodesh, but the source of funds for the Kodesh. So what it says, Amar B'Yisrael Aser B'Yisrael Shmuel. Yitzchak goes like Shmuel. Yitzchak says that Shetei Havayasa B'Kodesh means that Pitma B'Chulin is possible. It's like Shmuel. Rabbi Shimon Levi, who says that Pitma B'Chulin is kosher, is going like Rabbi Yochanan in the following issue. The Tina we learned Hamakdish L'Chosav. Somebody who, even though it says here the Tninon, it seems that it's actually a statement of a Moraim here. So Asko says we're quoting the Mishnah, and we're going to quote that Moraim going on the Mishnah. Okay. The team we learn somebody consecrated his property, and there was stuff which is suitable for Karbanos Tzibur. What's stuff which is suitable for Karbanos Tzibur in the Mishnah? Rabbi Yochanan Mar Keteris. Rabbi Yochanan says Keteris. It's Royal Karban Tzibur, right? So it's this is something which is Royal Keteris, which is not made in a Kli Kodesh. It's made by private individuals. So there's their Makdishit. So you see that it doesn't have to be made like in a it doesn't have to be made in a it can be made in Kli Chulin. That's like Rabbi Shua ben Levi, right? So Rabbi Yochanan is going to Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua said, no, it's not necessarily proof. It could be, it was Ktoris pre-made, but it had become Chulin because it had been redeemed, like we talked about previous sugya, and therefore this individual happened to have Ktoris, which now could reconsecrate. But in fact, it was made initially in a Kli Sharis, in a Kli Kodesh, not a Kli Chol. So that's not a right. Okay, Rabbi Yisrael Shmuel. Rabbi Yisrael says it has to be made in Kli Kodesh, goes like Shmuel. Tom Rav Huna b'Shem Shmuel. Rav Huna said in the name of Shmuel, Machteshes, the mortar and pestle, the which they would pound and grind the Samani Aktoris. Also, so Kli Shares l'Kadesh. They made it as a Kli Shares in order to that it be Mekadesh whatever is in it. So that's going to point out that the Achronim have a field day here, right? So there gives to be also Kli Shares. There was Mamish Kli Shares, and not like it says in here, Kik Kli Shares. Or it gives like here, Kik Kli Shares. It's likely Kli, in which case the question is, what exactly is in Kik Kli Shares? Isn't it Kli Shares? Isn't it Kli Shares? And obviously, especially if you're a brisker, we'll have a field day here to try and figure out what the lumdus is of something which is Kik Kli Shares, but not a Kli Shares Mamish. And the should come Bepeh or Bekeli. Long discussion here in the article in note 1 for those who are interested. So he does bring down that in the sugya in Yuma, the girsa is Kli Shares, not Kik Kli Shares. Reb Chaim does not change the girsa. But there is such girsa, also such klisharis, which will eliminate the whole issue, the whole lamdish issue. And I just checked it up to make sure. The article says in their edition it's on daf Lam Beis Amrav. In the Vilna it's chavdal on the base. In Yuma, that's what it says there. It says, excuse me, Machdeshes also sakli sharis l'kadesh. Not kikli. Okay. Amar Yosef Rabun said, Amar Avchuna Kumi Rabbi Yossi. So Rav Chuna said for Yossi, whoa. If that's the case, we find Davar Shekadosh B'Kli Sharis Nifte. And we know someone which is Kodesh B'Kli Sharis gets Kusha Saguf. So how can it be redeemed afterwards? How is the most Kedoros redeemed if it was Kodesh B'Kli Sharis? Amar said, Lo Shmuel. What's your question? Isn't going like Shmuel? Shmuel's one says it has to be done in Kli Sharis. The Shmuel, Amar Kaluba Moiser. Shmuel said it's a Kulu which we have by the Moiser, that the Moiser can be redeemed, even though it was Kodesh B'Kli Sharis. And Reb Chaim brings down the Bavli because of lay based in Masna, which of course is, I think, the only way of learning Pshat. Okay, so now we have again a Di'is Balgun. But here I think even the Reb Chaim would be moided that it's going on the previous discussion. Di'is Balgun, we learned Hu Tru Tmimim, if they're left over Karbanas at the end of the year, which are Tmimim, which only can't be redeemed. Shmuel Amar Niftin Ketmimim. They're redeemed Tmimim, as is. You don't have to wait to get a mum, because they're based in Masna. No, they're only redeemed K'psulim Mikdashim. In other words, you have to go to get a mum in order to redeem them. In Yuma, the Giras in Yerushalmi is doesn't make that much difference. So it's not redundant. It was that Hosiru Timidin. The Tamidim left at the end of the year. Karmanos Tamid. Shmuel said, Niftin Tamimim, Shmuel Chaman Niftin Kibslim Mukdashim. Okay, Husu Seirim. What do you have? Extra Seirim. So the Karbeida gives an example. They bought from the old Truma. Adar. They brought a soy for Chodesh Adar. Shenebad. Nimtzah Nisavayim Nisan. So, and you can't use it's from last fiscal year. What do you do with it in this case? So, Al Daite Shmuel im Oila Niftes, if the Talmud, which is an Oila, is Nifta, Koshkein Chatos, only the Chatos, the soy which is of lesser Kedusha, can be redeemed. Al Daite Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Zira, according to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Zira said that Yiru, they have to graze until they get a mum, and then can redeem them, even though it's a Chatos, but the Chatos can be grazed in this case. The Reb Chaim explains the Koshkein. He says that because it says in the Perek Beis Lochadal that Moser Chatos, anything left over in Chatos, comes as an Ola. So if the Ola can be redeemed, because Lei Beis Masa, so the Chatos is unnecessary, also can be redeemed, and it's money used to be and bring an Ola. Okay, so that's according to Shmuel. According to Rabbi Yechon, no, they have to be roeh. You can't bring them as you can't do that without Lei Beis Masa's work. You have to wait till they get a mum and then redeem them, and then you can use the money for Ola. But you can't just Lei Beis Masa wouldn't work. Rabbi Shmuel Yitzchak. Rabbi Shmuel Yitzchak said, "Mekitzim ben Mizbech." Sounds like even Rabbi Yochanan. He's saying you can use these korbanos themselves. You don't have to redeem them. To me, more about movement. Use themselves, bring them as olos of case Mizbech. Says more. What do you mean, kasha? It's difficult. That's difficult. Yesh chatas kreva ola. Can chatas itself be brought as an ola? So as more says here, lay based evidently this is true even according to Rabbi Yochanan. Lay based masa goes to such an extent. Rabbi Yosef shani yish ain't korbanos tzibur nigboin ela b'shchita. Yeah, lay based masa tells us that korbanos tzibur are not determined by the actually, let me make that clear because I don't think what I said is Rabbi Yitzchak is not is I think his own shita. It's not. It's obviously. I don't know why I said what I said. Obviously, it's not going to say. It's not Shmuel. It's not Rabbi Yochanan. It's a new shita. You know, right? He's saying, I hold Beis Masa, but even to a greater extent than Shmuel, right? That you could, why? Because she'ain korban tzibur, Rabbi Yossi shani she'ain korban tzibur nikvay lo b'shchita. That's only done when you shech them. So therefore, it's like Korban Pesach, Moshech v'nimna until it actually is nikva, but b'shchita. So here too, it doesn't. It's not nikva until at the time of shchita. Okay, so the Amar B'Chanina, Rabbi Chanina said in Yuma says Amar Rabbi Chanina ben Tradio. Okay, which makes it considerably earlier. That's the Shini's Chos brings that down. Like you say here, Amar Chanina ben Tradio, Rabbi Chanina said Tnai based on the Masora Sheikor V'Orla. He says that this is a Tnai based on Mosoros. That they can the extra chatos that they can be brought as an ola. The which was Korban Edus says the difference between chatos and chatos shar chatos tzibur. I'm not sure what why it differentiates. It sounds like it's going on or chatos tzibur. So the Chaim makes a good point. He says, according to this, even shalob and moiser so even if it's not moiser, you'll have to change it, right? According to Rabbi Yosef, it's an interesting chap. He says that's not with Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Chanina. I thought Rabbi Yosef coming to explain Rabbi Yosef. No, he says it's not going to explain it. It's limits of Yosef. Yosef it's only korban tzibur is not shchita. He says no, it's a tnai based on mosoros shei korban olos, but not any korban can be changed. So Rabbi Yosef is much further than Rabbi Chanina. That's an interesting point. That's not. I don't think it's a conventional way of learning. I think the conventional way of learning it is that let's go with Yosef. Here? No. Looks like a typo. But anyway, I think eventually is that's what Rabbi Chanina is explaining Rabbi Yosef, but not that's I think Tal Chanina is going that way as well. I'm tonight based on Mosoros. I feel Mosoros Chatos should cover. Oh, so Ikar Korban Ein Mishtana. Yeah, so he holds he's art. That's also like Reb Chaim. The Rabbi Yosef holds that any Korban can Mishtana. Rabbi Chanina says no, it's only the Mosoros which we change, not the Korban itself. Okay, very interesting. We will stop here for today since we got the bottom of an Amud, and it is a new Mishnah when we get to the top of Amud Aleph.